now we are going to talk about how to schedule these tasks. So let me share my Sailpoint screen. So if you want to access the task, go to setup, go to task. So now here you have account aggregation, group aggregation. Let's take an example. Now you have to execute this task on a daily basis because application team informed this is going to be daily scheduled task, which means feed file will be loaded or source data will be updated on a daily basis. So Sailpoint has to aggregate the data on a daily basis. They will provide some time, or sometimes we have to decide the time based on our server usage, CPU usage, everything we have to calculate. And we will decide, okay, this task is going to be execute at 10 p.m. IST. Always remember 10 p.m. IST or 10 a.m., whatever it may be. Always remember that task execution should not be run on the business hours. It should be out of business hours. Let's say 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. EST, it's the business hour. Then we shouldn't schedule the task in that time. Apart from the system task, some out of the box tasks, we shouldn't run the aggregation task. It may affect the business impact. The business impact will be there. The performance impact will be there. So if you are going to schedule in the evening time out of the business hours, so you should know how to schedule. The purpose behind this, each and every time, no need to execute this task manually. That's the real-time purpose. Okay. So now if we are going to schedule without any manual intervention, the task will be executed whenever the time arrives. So here you can provide the task name, which task you are going to schedule. Let's say schedule account aggregation 1. So description you can provide. First execution, when the task is going to execute at first time, I want it to be execute right away. So I will click on run now. And if you have any specific time like 10 a.m. the task has to be executed, each and every day at 10 a.m. the task will get executed. So execution frequency, if you want to execute annually, quarterly or monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, you can do it. So daily means whenever the time occurs 7:45, the task will get executed. If it is hourly basis, 7:45, 7:42, 8:42, 9:42, each and every 60 minutes, the task will get executed. So how about 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 minutes? Because there may be some requirement, business requirement, where we have to execute the task once in every 5 minutes, once in every 15 minutes. So how to achieve that? Okay, let's talk about that later. So host, you guys know the task. If the task is it will take more than the actual time, the expected time. So we can allow this task to execute on a particular server so that it won't impact the business. And task status, server status. So just click the schedule button, the task will be created. Here you could see under task definition, you have AD account aggregation task. Under schedule task, just now we have created one task called schedule AD account aggregation, which means the task will be stored under task definition object as well as task schedule object as well. You got it? The next execution will be 7:42. We'll see. Go to task schedule. So just now we created a task name called schedule AD account aggregation 1. Just open the task. Here you have a cron expression value from line number 12 to 14 for this task. We have a cron expression value here. So based on your requirement, you have to change this cron value. So do you guys aware how to change this cron value? How to define this? If yes, you can write your cron value on your own. See, if you want to generate the cron expression for minutes basis, hourly basis, yeah, we can. If I want to execute the task once in every 5 minutes, hit this generate button, the cron value will be generated, cron format. So just copy and replace. Click save. Got it? Okay, so this is how we are going to schedule a task. So let's check the task results. If the task status is pending, I should have chosen some other task. So 7:45 will get executed. We'll wait. Okay, guys, let's talk about task monitoring. So if you want to monitor task, if you want to schedule tasks, apart from Autosys, and we have other couple of third-party tools available. Okay. So if your project requires to implement those tools, it's well and good. If they are not implementing these tools, you have to take care as a support engineer on your own. So in that scenario, you should know how to schedule, how to create, how to monitor them, monitor the task. So when it comes to monitoring tasks, let's say if you have lesser number of applications, like 600, 500 application, and yeah, maybe less than that. So you can utilize this task result object. As a support engineer, your primary task will be to monitor each and every task. If any task ended with failure or ended with warning, then you have to troubleshoot. So in that scenario, first you will see what kind of error you are getting. Based on the error, nature of error, you will terminate the task, or sometimes you have to terminate, sometimes you have to re-execute. It depends. Second, you have to capture the logs. You have to report it to your developers if it requires more effort. Okay, more time to look into that. So using this tab, we can easily monitor on a daily basis. So from yesterday timestamp to today's timestamp, how many tasks ended with failure? This is very easy for them. Okay. Let's say last 1 week task. I couldn't see. Yeah. Now these many tasks has been ended with failure. These many tasks ended with warning. Okay, none. So none, 2 tasks has been cancelled. Okay. So if you have more number of application, more number of tasks, so how you are supposed to monitor them? So in that scenario, we can rely on database. Anyhow, we have read access. So just access your database, Identity IQ. You have a table name called, let me show you. Yeah. You have a database name called Identity IQ, where we have a table name called SPT underscore table. Sorry, SPT underscore task result. Yeah, so I was referring this task. So all the task results will get stored here, right? So once you can ask the DB team to write some query, and you can execute the query on a daily basis so that you can easily fetch the whatever task ended with failure, warning, whatever tasks currently running in the environment. So you can ask the DB team, or maybe if you know SQL, you can write on your own. You got my point, guys? So you basic one, I'm going to add some where condition. Like here we have a column name called completion status, success, failure, warning, everything will be there. Okay, error, failure, everything. So completion status is the column name, where completion status equaled error. Okay, so if you want, you can add your timestamp as well. So here you will come to know whatever task has been ended with failure yesterday. So task name, what is that? Attribute. Yeah, so this is the task name. You will easily come to know. Guys, what is this ID value created, modify? What is this? Anybody? Because you are going to access the same information from debug page as well. So you should know this ID created, modified.
That's like a correlation ID. Like this is an ID that you can look into any error. It's like a specific ID for a specific task you created.
Okay. Exactly. So this ID value belongs to the object, particular object. So this is the unique value of each and every object. Okay. Created is nothing. It's a timestamp value. So when this object got created, so there are numbers are there, right? So here you can mention the timestamp, the value. So timestamp to human date. So you'll come to know, okay, that object got created on November 20th. Okay, which means yesterday I have executed the task. So go to debug page. So go to task result object. Okay. As I said already, each and every object will be having created date, modified, launched date. So some timestamp value will be there. So you can convert, if you want to validate when the task got completed, you should have a human timestamp, right? Human. So in that scenario, you can convert with the help of epoch convert. And each and every object will be having the unique ID value. So where is that ID value? Yeah. So this is the unique ID value of this object, Prism account aggregation. So I can search with this. Suspension. Okay. Now another one. So here you have some owner references, right? SP admin also having this unique ID value. Now go to identity warehouse, open any random identity. So already I have said some ID value will be generated here, correct? Just remove that, replace with this value. So SP admin account will be fetch. Got it? Okay. In a similar way, yesterday we talked about if we get a scenario, if we get a situation where we need to run the refresh task for a couple of users. So in that scenario, we talked about only name. So if end user having name value, we can refresh. Correct? So we can type name double equal this value, we have to copy, just execute the task. It will refresh. That's fine. Apart from using this ID value also, we can refresh. So just go to the task, just type ID double equal, something like this. Okay. And you can refresh. Guys, are we clear? So these kind of small tweaks you can perform. So only one identity got refreshed. Okay, so we were talking about monitoring the task. Okay, and we were dealing. So you guys know what is ID value, created modified value, right? So who is the owner for this task? You have this unique ID value of the owner. So just replace this ID value here. You will come to know who is the owner. Again, the administrator is the owner for this object. So launcher SP admin, when it got launched, progress. A lot of values will be there. Okay. So from UI page, we can do the task monitoring. With the help of DB, we can do the task monitoring. Apart from that, any idea? Sometimes you have to prepare a report and you have to provide the list of tasks which took more than the actual runtime. Sorry, more than the average runtime. You have to prepare a sheet. Once again, I'm telling you have to prepare a sheet where you have to provide the list of tasks which took more time to complete than the average runtime. So in that scenario, just click on the gear icon, go to administrator console. From here also we can monitor the task. Go to the task tab. So here you will come to know whatever tasks are currently running. Task, events, everything you can find under this active tab. Got it? So whatever task you have scheduled, today we have scheduled one task, right? So schedule Active Directory account aggregation. So we have whatever task completed, you can find it here. So with the help of this average runtime and runtime, we can prepare a report. So here you have option to, initially we used to have the download option. Let me check. Okay, RLC, you can run some query and you can prepare a report from DB also. But easily you can come to know. Okay, so for this task, the average runtime is 2 minutes, 1 second. But it took 38 hours to get it complete, which means these many percentage up. The moment you are going to execute a task in the backend, some threaders will be available. Each and every task will consume one threader. If threader is not available, then it will be in the queue. Because we have scheduled a lot of tasks to be executed on a timely basis, right? Some tasks will take more time than the actual time. In that scenario, threader won't be available. So all the tasks will be in the queue. Whenever threader is available and on a schedule base, the task will get executed and it will get complete. So this is the mechanism what we have in Sailpoint. So we have scheduled the task. So let's validate that. So initially we have created for hourly basis. After that, we have changed the timestamp, correct? So now you can have a look. 7:55, the last execution, and the next execution will be 8 a.m., which means that timestamp got changed. But if we're going to open it from here, still execution frequency is showing as hourly. But with the help of cron expression value, we have changed the timestamp. Task monitoring, creation, standard task schedule, that's done. Okay, let's talk about. Okay, I'll give you one scenario. Just think and let me know. We have 2000 application. So 4,000 tasks will be there. Account aggregation and group aggregation tasks. Now you want to schedule all 4,000 tasks. Hypothetically, I'm saying you're not going to schedule all 4,000 tasks, but your business requirement will be all 4,000 tasks needs to be executed on a daily basis. So what will you do? You have 4,000 tasks, which is already created. You have created 4,000 tasks. So, and it's available under task definition object. Let me show you. You have 4,000 tasks over here. Now, the business says you have to schedule this task on a daily basis. You have to run. So now you are planning to schedule this. So what will you do? Let's say you have removed these ID values. Okay, for this scenario, learn one more thing. You have removed this ID value. So what will happen? It will fetch it again automatically. Okay. Okay. So we were talking about this, right? So 2,000 applications are there, 4,000 tasks. Now you need to schedule 4,000 tasks, which means already under task definition, we have 4,000 tasks. If you're going to create 4,000 more tasks under task schedule, so the load will be more, correct? So instead of doing that, what can we do? We have an option called sequential task launcher. So just go to new task. Here you have an option called sequential task launcher. It's a out of the box task. So open that. So here, instead of selecting application, you can select all of your tasks, whatever task you have created and which is available under task definition. So what you can do, you can create a couple of sequential tasks where one of them will be account aggregation sequential task. Just mention something like this. Okay. Sequential account aggregation, where you can mention all 2,000 tasks you can select here. So not only aggregation, you can select whatever task is available, select a couple of tasks. In the sequential order, you can add all of your tasks. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So you can add as many as you want and just execute. Create the task and execute. Let's say workday account aggregation task needs to be executed on a daily basis and it's a primary task, correct? Because of the workday account aggregation, HR application account aggregation, all kind of events will get triggered, joiner, leaver and all. So we have to give priority to those kind of tasks. Let's say some tasks will take more time, like 4 hours, 5 hours. In that scenario, what should you do? You should exclude those tasks from the sequential task. Because first, the one identity refresh will execute, second, perform maintenance will execute, third, check expired. If this task get more time or if this task gets stuck, so the next progress won't happen. The next task won't get executed, it will get stuck. So you should be prepared. First, you should define so which task we are going to execute on a sequential order. Got it?
Okay.
Not based on the application. So here we have this alerts option.
Okay.
So you can, if the task ended with failure, warning, or irrespective of warning, failure, success, so we can utilize this option. Email will get triggered to the, okay. So you guys come to know, right, what is a sequential task. So let me execute this task first. So the moment I created this task, it will get stored under task definition object. Sequential task, account aggregation task. So let's check this. So now it's executing. So now it's the check expired mitigation task is running. Now policy impact analysis. One by one, all the tasks will get executed. Now it got completed. Here you could see one identity refresh is started and completed without any error. Perform maintenance started and ended, completed. When it comes to policy impact analysis, started but ended with error. So this, in a similar way, you can create a sequential task which will be created under this task definition object. Now you can automate this only one task, correct? Which means this task will have 2000 tasks. Now you can schedule the sequential. Let me show you that. So this sequential task we can schedule now. You guys got it? So if we are going to follow this process, we no need to create 4000 scheduled tasks. Okay, it will be a button for Sailpoint. Instead of doing that, we can create a couple of sequential tasks and we can automate that. We can schedule those tasks. I hope you guys are clear. Here you have 4000 tasks, which is already created under task definition object. Okay. While onboarding application, you have created this task. Now, okay, let's say 4000 is a big number. We'll reduce 400 tasks. Okay. Out of 400, you have 200 account aggregation and 200 group aggregation.
Okay.
So now your stakeholders are saying we are going to schedule. I mean, they are not going to utilize the word use the word called schedule. They will ask us to automate this process because we cannot give one resource to schedule this task on a daily basis, execute it on a daily basis. Because some person, some support engineer has to work on this, right? To execute this task, to monitor the task. So your stakeholders are saying we don't have the resource, you have to automate this job. So which means we shouldn't rely on any support engineer. We are going to automate this process. So in that scenario, if you are going to schedule all the 400 tasks one by one, so 400 scheduled tasks will be created here, right?
Yes.
Again, it's a burden for Sailpoint because a lot of objects will be created. 400 objects. So instead of doing that, what can we do? We can utilize this option called Sequential Task Launcher. So now I can add first 200 tasks. I can create one account aggregation here. I'll provide the name called Sequential Account Aggregation. I will add all 200 account aggregation tasks here. Okay. In a similar way, I will create another sequential task where I will add group aggregation, all 200 group aggregation. I will save this task. Okay. The task will get stored under task definition object. So this is what I'm referring. Task definition object. Okay. So now I can schedule this task, right? So instead of creating 400 scheduled tasks, I can create only one or a couple of sequential tasks, which will fulfill the business requirement. So this is what we are talking. Now you are a developer, guys. Okay. So you have written some rule. So you have written this rule so that you can, if any approver is not taking on the work item, it will get escalated and it will reassign to line manager. To fulfill the requirement, you have written some rule. Hypothetically, let's take an example. This rule you have written. And now this rule needs to be executed on a daily basis again. Okay, so these are the actual real-time project requirement. So this rule needs to be executed on a daily basis. If it is task, you can use the sequential task launcher option, correct? But since it's a rule, what will you do now? Are you going to execute on a daily basis with the help of support engineer? This rule needs to be executed on a daily basis. So in that scenario, we have another task name called run rule task. So you guys know what is standard properties. Based on requirement, you can fulfill this. From here, we can choose the rule which you needs to execute on a daily basis and create this task. The task will get created and it will stored under task definition object, correct? If you want to schedule this task now, you can create another schedule task. Let me show you that. So this rule will be executed. Now I'm going to execute this task. The task will save and it will execute. So now we have a run rule task here. So if you want to schedule this, or if you want to be included in the sequential task, yeah, we can do that. Okay. So the run rule task completed successfully. There is no output it's printing here. Since we have executed the rule, if you want to capture the log, if you want to check the log, yeah. So let's talk about that quickly. Here we have selected which rule? APC logger test, right? APC logger test something. Not this one. Okay, so here we have written some rule. It's going to print some birth rate provisioning plan, log.error provisioning plan. So this is what it's printing. The rule config, null value, so it's ignoring. So provisioning plan it's printing. So based on your timestamp and based on your logger statement, you can check the logs. If you're not familiar with this, you can skip this. No need to pay much attention, more attention. Okay. So apart from that, let's talk about plugin today. So what is plugin basically? So whatever tool, whatever application it may be, if it's looking for any specific feature which needs to be implemented on the application, okay. So in that scenario, you can call it as plugin. Okay, you can call it as plugin, add-in, add-on, something like that. Okay. So in Chrome also we have kind of plugin. So we will call it as extension. So here we have an extension, right? What is that? So you can call it as plugin for this application. So in a similar way, if you want to add any additional feature for your Sailpoint application, so you can go to click on this gear icon, go to plugins. With the help of developers, you can implement some plugin basically. You can build some plugin and you can import into Sailpoint. Now I have a requirement. Since you are a developer or you're a support engineer, you may involve in the development activities. Okay. And additionally, you will involve in the deployment activity as well. Is it similar? Development and deployment? If the project have the budget to have a DevOps team, it's fine. Sometimes if you have less resource, you have to take care on your own everything. Because I've seen a lot of projects where they don't have BA, they don't have DevOps team, they are not following agile model, they are following waterfall model. It depends on the project and their client. Okay, so development is all about building something to fulfill the business requirement, and deployment. Whatever you build, you have to push into the production environment, right? So that everyone can utilize that and we can fix the bugs and all. So that's the difference between development and deployment. Okay, I was trying to say, as a support engineer, you are going to involve a lot in the deployment activity. As a developer, you are going to involve in the development activity. Because as far as I've seen, developer is not going to involve in the deployment activity and they are not going not 100%, 80% I would say. Developer is not going to involve in the deployment activity, and they don't have access, first of all, to the production environment. So they are not supposed to deploy directly. I hope you guys are clear. Developer will get access to only developer environment, not to QA, not to UAT environment. They will have some minimal access. They can deploy they can push the artifact, they can push the code changes. Apart from that, they can't do anything. Okay, so I was talking about plugin, right? Yeah. Now you have a requirement. As a developer, as a support engineer, you have to push the code changes. Um, it may be code changes. It may be you have built something freshly, build some artifacts. Artifacts is nothing, it's an object. Again, it's an identity object, you could say. You have built something, you have created a new task. So again, you can call it as artifact, you can call it as identity object. That task needs to be created in QA environment. What will you do? Okay. So imagine this is the developer environment. Here in the link, dev is there, developer, this is the developer environment. You have created this task in developer environment. It's working as expected. Now you are planning to move this artifact into QA environment. What will you do? For QA environment, we may have different link. You have to log in with this QA link. Imagine you don't have SSB configured and you don't have any GitHub or you don't have any repository. So what will you do? If we have any advanced tool, definitely we can rely on. But if you don't have in that scenario, like when it comes to task monitoring, we don't have autosys tool, then you have to manually do it, right? In a similar way, if you don't have these SSB or GitHub, in that scenario, you are a developer, you are a support engineer, you have to deploy the changes. So you have to push this task from dev to QA. In that scenario, a lot of people, what will do, they don't have access to QA environment. So they cannot create, they cannot log, first of all, they cannot log in into QA environment. So you have to push the code changes with the help of Eclipse, correct? So first you have to configure Eclipse. From there, you can deploy the code changes. One option. Second, you can export this object from here. Since you guys know how to export the objects with the help of IIQ console, correct? You can export this object. You can ask QA people to import it again from their option. So you can do that as well. It's up to the project requirement. How they have defined their project. One, with the help of Eclipse, you can deploy directly from any environment, from anywhere to anywhere. Second, you can export the object. You can ask them to import the file. Okay. So in that scenario, how to do the object export? So here we have out of the box task called data export. But here you have some restriction, some limitation, I would say. You can export identities, you can export accounts, you can export certification. What about policy? What about access request? What about rule? What about workflow? If I want to export. So how come we can achieve this? You got my question? I want to deploy this task, so I want to export the task. I don't have feature, right, to export this. Identity IQ object exporter plugin. This is one of my favorite plugins. With the help of this plugin, we can export all kind of identity object. Okay, there is no restriction, there is no limitation. You can export all the XML objects very easily. So download this zip file. Okay, let me download. Open that. So what? Just go to import, install. Here you could say task definition object export XML. So I will come to know, okay, this is related to task definition of, that's fine. We got a hint. Now we will go to gear icon, plugin. So as of now, we don't have any plugin here. Okay. So click on new, drag and drop will work. Select the file. So it will install automatically. Successfully install the object exporter plugin. Since I know it's related to task definition, so I'll go to setup, task. So from here, click on new task, scroll down. See here we have XML object exporter. So this is kind of plugin. With the help of plugin, we are able to utilize this task, XML object exporter. Okay. Again, you can create a task. You can export from anywhere to anywhere. So base path to export. If you want to remove the ID values, which means if you want to remove the created and modified values, right? All timestamp if you want to remove. So if you want to, which object you are going to export, if this naming convention matches, then only the object will get exported. If you want to skip any metadata, environment specific metadata, so you have a lot of options. So this plugin, you can use it to export all type of identity object. Because I have shown one out of the box task, right? But there is some limitation. You can export only identities, certification, that's it. If you want to export task and all, we can't do that, right? But from here, we can export. Got it? So let me show you. So mine is SSB configured system, and I have a task called object exporter already. See? So whatever object I'm going to export, it's going to store under this folder. So I want to remove all the ID values. I want to export all the application object now. Okay, and this is the naming format of the file. First, the object type will be there, or you can call it as classes, and object name in the XML format. Okay. So instead of application, if I'm going to execute rule, or maybe task definition today, task definition. If you're not sure about the object, again, you can go to debug page. From here, get the object. Just copy. Okay. Now execute this and copy this path. Go to task results, object export got completed successfully. So 169 object has been exported, task definition, correct? So I'm not sure, I don't remember the path, so I will get it from here. Now click on the data modified. So at this timestamp, current timestamp, we have exported all the objects, correct? So now I can import this file directly into QA environment. This is one of the way to deploy the artifacts, deploy the code changes. Because always we can't rely on the third-party tool to do the deployment. Let's say you don't have Xblades, you don't have, what do we say, Jenkins to build the WAR file, you don't have Urban Code Deploy. Again, this is one of the other application which will help in the deployment process. If you want, you can make a note, Urban Code Deploy. So let me, I think Urban Code Deploy. I think today we talked about a lot of, we have taken a lot of tool names like Autosys, Dynatrace, Splunk, Urban Code Deploy, and a couple of other tools as well. Let's say other, yeah, here we have a lot of plugins which are Sailpoint certified. So this system help plugin will help us to understand. Light green means heartbeat symbol, all is okay. Orange means CPU load is more than 80%. Red means the host is down. At least one host is down. Which means as a server monitoring will be one of your tasks, one of your activity. So now support engineer, if your project allows to install this plugin, we can easily will come to know, right, about the server status. So let's download this plugin. 7.0, 7.1, it won't work. So again, you can go to gear icon, go to plugins. So click on new. So the system help plugin. Okay, unable to process manifest file in system help plugin. I'm getting some error, some kind of error. Okay, I'm not able to access it, so we can skip as of now. I don't want to waste time. So guys, try to get access on the Sailpoint Compass community page and try to download some plugin if you have access, or else I'll ask the management to upload one of the plugin. Okay. And I hope you guys get all the artifacts. I didn't check that. Can you check it quickly? All the technical white paper, all the rules, workflows, whatever I have. Okay, guys, that's pretty much all about um, task plugin. Now I'll explain about reports as well. Okay. So guys, go to intelligence, go to reports. Since you guys know what is a report, okay. Based on your stakeholder requirement, we have to get the data from either from database, sometimes from GUI. We have to get the required data and we have to prepare a report, send it to the stakeholders, clients. Okay. Now, sometimes you have to create a new report. Sometimes you have to execute the existing report. But the same option we have. It's similar to task only. Okay. If you want to get the report on a timely basis, you can schedule those reports. You have the same feature. Okay. If you want to schedule the reports, if you want to, once you executed the report, so it will stored under report results. So now go to debug page. Can you help me to find the object type for the reports? So we have a lot of reports, right? I want to access the report from debug page basically. What will be the object type? If I'm going to type the name of report, nothing is there. So always remember, so whatever you have seen, task definition, task result, and task schedule. Again, all the reports will stored under task definition. If you are going, once you executed the report, so those result, those output will be stored under task result object. Once you schedule those reports, it will comes under task schedule object. You got it? For specifically, we don't have any individual object type of reports. So everything will get stored under task only. Task definition, task result, task schedule. Report means based on the business requirement, SailPoint has provided lot of out of the box feature reports. Let's say you want to prepare, you want to fetch information about identities. If you want to fetch information about a lot of other things, let me explain. Okay, give me a minute. Okay. So this access review and certification, it's all related to certification reports. The account group, activity reports, administrator, application, identity. Yeah. So let's say we have identity related report this much, identity forwarding report. If I'm going to execute this report, I'll come to know whoever has enabled the delegation option. So it will come to know. So it's pending. Basically, we can get the details about everyone. I mean, all the objects, all the artifacts. Basically, on a high level, report is all about, based on the business requirement, we are going to provide the information, whatever they are required. It depends on the object type. If they are looking for any information about identities, application, policies, certification, so we have to provide to them. It got completed. Enabled the forwarding option. Okay. So already we have enabled the forwarding option. Do you guys remember the delegation one? So this identity enable the forward user to this person, which means this person will be act as a delegated one, and start date, end date, forwarding user, display name, everything is there. So we can easily fetch, right, with the help of reports. If you want to customize, if you want to create, yeah, we can do that too. So as I told, so the same categories, whatever we have seen in Sailpoint task, we have the category for reports as well. Based on the requirement, we can schedule, we can execute, we can create a new task. You can go to debug page. From there also you can create. If you want to monitor this report, yeah, we can do that with the help of report results and with the help of DB. So just now I have executed one report. So just go to task result object. So we have just now executed, right? This identity forwarding report. So it comes under task result object only. Let's say sometimes the requirement might be something different. Let's say we have executed this report, right? Just now, your stakeholders are saying we have to add some more columns, like user first name has to be there, user last name has to be there, something like that. So in that scenario, we have to customize the report, right? So usually what I will do, I won't touch the out of the box report, which means inbuilt report or whatever comes as a default. Instead of doing that, I will go to debug page. I will try to create another custom object with the help of that one. Got it? So from debug page, if you want to create, yeah, I can show you that. Go to task definition. We were talking about this identity forwarding report, right? Here we have to add a lot of source. I mean, we have to add the code, right? It's custom code build. Got it? You should be a hardcore developer to write this code. But when it comes to task, we are not going to add any code, something like this. Got it? Okay. Yeah. And let me show another one. Okay, this is application status report, what we have out of the box. Is it the one which I have opened? Not sure. If you want to get the application status information, yeah, so just open that report. So again, here we have standard properties, and already we talked about that. So additionally, here you can say what email attachment format you are going to send, whether are you going to send the PDF format or CSV format, and for whom you are going to send this report. Again, you can schedule this task, everything. So for which application, if you want to select any particular application, you can choose report layout. Each and every report will have their own terms, okay? And every task will have their own standard properties. So just execute this task. App status. So save and preview, save and execute. I would suggest instead of touching the existing report, you can get the identical, I mean, you can create a custom object, right? Custom report, where you can do the custom. customization, basically. Okay. So click on view reports. You'll come to know, okay, I have 4 applications in my environment. Number of accounts were available when the last aggregation got done. Oldest refresh time, newest refresh time, total assignment, unique entitlement. If you want to add more columns, so what will you do? You are going to customize the code, right? From which table, from where we can fetch the data, something like that. You got it? Yeah, we can do that. Okay. Task and reports both are same, I would say. Okay. Because both the objects have the same feature, same UI design, same option. And both the objects will store under task definition, task result, identity object.